Is it time?
It's time.
Yay!
You are tuned in to the Free Matt podcast.
Yes.
It's free. It's Matt. It's a
Free
podcast.
Matt. Oh my God.
All right,
Couldn't
folks.
pay people to deal with you. Could not pay people to deal with you.
Exactly. I'm in this for public service, and not because of prison. We are the modern day harbingers of the libertarian message for all Somalis. All right, folks, if y'all haven't figured it out by now, you are tuned in to the Free Matt podcast. I am Matt Freemat. The man on my constitutional left is the one.
We were going with Celestial last week.
Celestial left. This is the one and only General Patrick Flynn.
Hey, how you doing, people? How you doing?
It's
Friday. It's not a payday Friday, but it's still a Friday. Be happy. Be full of beer.
Yeah, be full of beer. And I did want to say that about General Patrick Flynn. Said Patrick, the General Flynn, fighting out of the red corner, training in Las Vegas, Nevada, with team 2-ton nuts. Originally from the mean streets of San Pedro Sula. Weighing in at a meager 235 pounds with a 80-inch wingspan. 6'3", 6'3". Don't know what it is in metric, but we're just gonna roll with it.
Because we don't do metric.
Yeah. Everybody knows those are just retard feet. 3 feet in a yard. Anyway, the Free Matt podcast is a libertarian roundtable style discussion. I did call it a debate, but half the time we agree. And if you don't agree with us, you're in the wrong place. But
well, no. I won't say that. If you don't agree with us, that's fine. We like arguing and we like bringing our points across. So we kind of like different views. It's just the thing is, we want more from you. If you got a different views, say more than fuck you.
Sure.
That's really it. I mean, we don't mind the hate. We like the hate. Usually if we're getting haters, we're doing something right. But at least articulate your disagreement more than fuck you. Because honestly, if we get that response, we won.
Exactly. And, well, as always, I explain the little micro format we usually follow on Freak Nasty Fridays, where we pull up two libertarian or politically aligned articles, and we discuss those. We give you the commentary, usually from a libertarian standpoint, but we also throw in social comedy or social commentary, pointless pop cultural references, and insults galore towards
whoever we feel, really.
Yeah, and it's, let me see, who is it today that I'm going to make note? Bruce Willis.
Oh, and also
Chrissy Teigen and Bruce Willis. And
also Chrissy Teigen. Ooh, no, I'm thinking of Teigen Presley. Never mind. Look that name up if you don't know, folks. Teigen Presley. You'll be happy.
Well,
I also before I'm trying to basically pull in what I was about to forget to say, but we also try to, for our articles, we try not to cover what's already like bombarding the news left, right, and center. I mean, yeah, we know everybody's talking about those particular topics, but at the same time, everybody's talking about those topics, and we want to talk about something else.
Yes. All right. let's, as I always say, let's get on with the rat killing.
What them rats ever do to you? Were they from the hood?
I'm not doing nothing now. Oh yeah. Let me see. May 13th, 2020, just a couple days ago, from our awesome friends at Reason.com.
Got a lot of good stuff from them, really.
And the author was Robbie Sove. Rand Paul's attack on Anthony Fauci was actually a reasonable point the doctor agreed with. It says,
this is one of the few ones that's actually happened during this week that a lot of people are talking about, but I don't think they covered this exact little point mentioned in this article.
All right. They had a little extra tagline here that was, it says, plus some California universities cancel in-person fall classes. The UK extends its lockdown and more. I imagine they meant United Kingdom and not the University of Kentucky.
Well, if it is the United Kingdom, did they get locked down with Kiki Minaj and Ava Cox and Rebecca Moore? Don't forget her.
I don't know who maybe there's like some type of a social program they can, hook up people like.
If that's the case, I need to move to the UK.
There's like, this guy got locked up with a one-legged retired trucker with diabetes, and then there's some 80-year-old woman who gets to, gets one of the people you had mentioned. So, like, why? Okay. Senator Rand Paul, who's a Republican of Kentucky, if y'all don't know that, he attracted national media attention yesterday after he posed a pointed question to Dr. Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, about reopening schools. Long story short, guys, I was going to say they talked at the Senate Health Committee hearing, and it was attended virtually by Dr. Fauci because he's pretty smart about not trying to get around people who might give him the woo flu or the crud. It mentioned Paul, not a compliment towards the guy, just he seems pretty savvy about why do I not want to hang out with a bunch of strangers who might be sick. All right. Paul used his time to criticize the existing coronavirus modeling, which has been, and this is in quotations, more wrong than right. He respectfully told Fauci, who, along with Dr. Deborah Birx, Doctora works too, has been President Donald Trump's, oh, that's nice, top advisor on the science of the pandemic, that the doctor is not and this is in quotations, the be-all and end-all, end quote, in terms of decision-making. And he asserted that some schools should be allowed to reopen depending on local conditions. Here's some more quotes for you.
Quotes.
Okay. I think the one-size-fits-all that we're going to have a national strategy and no one is going to go to school is kind of ridiculous, said Paul. We really ought to be doing it school district by school district. This is something I did not know, and now I'm learning. Okay, I wanted to add another little tidbit. It says, if we keep kids out of school for another year, what's going to happen is the poor and underprivileged kids who don't have a parent to teach them at home are not going to learn for a full year. Paul's remarks earned him thunderous denunciation from a mainstream media, whatever, that views impugning Fauci's godlike status as blasphemy, and heaps of praise from right-wing pundits who have largely decided that Fauci is some sort of anti-Trump operative. In reality, of course, Fauci is neither a god nor a member of the deep state. I'm not sure about that.
Which part, the god or the deep state?
The deep state thing. He's a smart public servant whose guidance is one piece of information that policymakers should take seriously when deciding how to proceed. I have no problem with that. I think that you should hear the man out.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
wait, there's
But wait,
more.
there's more.
If you
I
buy
forgot.
this rotisserie chicken cooker right now, we'll throw in General Patrick Flynn's patent molar extractor.
Molar. Oh, yes, that thing is a good model, too. Doesn't rust. Very efficient. Very efficient. Many confessions have been wrought with that thing.
Hey, it's certified by every CIA black site. Thank you. Can't say that a straight face. All right, says in fact, this is about Mr. Fauci, Dr. Fauci. He answered Paul's question by confirming that he is not the end all and that final decisions will be made by the president in consultation with other advisors who have expertise on other matters, like the effects of the lockdowns on the economy. Robert Frank says, yeah. Because he does a Macho Man Randy Savage impression. Okay. He goes, the point is that Paul and Fauci did not actually engage in some huge clash of conflicting visions, but agenda setters in the media need something to fight about. Man, I wouldn't believe it. Clickbaity mainstream media people.
Oh my God, really?
They're like a bunch of finicky hens trying to figure out something to cluck about.
Worse than that, really.
This
It's like
dynamic
if they don't have if there's not a fight or an argument, it's like they got nothing and they get no ratings. They get no ratings, they get no money.
It was one thing that dirty laundry was something that real journalists didn't do until everything became like a lifestyle, like everything became like even political stuff became lifestyle articles. And this was not just people I mentioned about George W. Bush. It was him, it was Romney, it was President Obama. Bill Clinton made it easy.
Because he got sleazy.
Yeah.
Well, that's the sound she made.
The point is that Paul and Fauci did not. Okay, this dynamic has become all too common on social media, where hashtag resistance types routinely treat Birx as if she has sold her soul by refusing to sternly rebuke Trump at the press briefings. And MAGA types continuously call on Trump to hashtag fire Fauci for insubordination. Birx is pro-Trump and an enemy of liberals, while Fauci is anti-Trump and an enemy of conservatives. In reality, of course, there appears to be no major difference in the type of guidance given by Birx and Fauci. In short, Paul's point about allowing some schools to reopen was uncontroversial and reasonable. And
Oh my
Fauci,
God.
yeah, and
Imagine that.
Fauci even appeared to agree with it. Apologies to everyone who wanted a fight.
Yeah, like I said, just goes back to you need some kind of drama for something to be newsworthy here lately. I cannot get comfortable today.
I know. I'm shifting too. It's unmerciful. Ooh, let's look at this next one. Hi, kids.
And that was it. No commentary.
Oh, I mean, think of it this way. I guess they were trying to make something out of nothing, not a whole lot of anything, and
That's what I think. I mean, like I just mentioned, if it's not some kind of conflict or fight, it's like they got nothing else to go on and they don't want to report on it. So if there's not one there, they try to drum one up because interest and people are only interested in that kind of thing, or at least that's what they think. But I don't feel like that's accurate.
it was a weird. I mean, it's his comments. Senator Rand Paul's comments were a little. I'm not gonna say acidic, but I guess it was pointed, and I think that people probably were thinking they were just gonna, a lot of people just phone things in and don't really talk about anything. And
Right.
I don't think people understand. Dr. Fauci and Rand Paul don't hate each other, and they're cordial people, and it's nothing. I mean,
Well, that, and I also actually think people forget about Rand Paul is he's an actual medical doctor himself.
I knew that his dad was, and did not know that his son was too. Was he?
I think
One of
so.
those guys is a. Is he the dermatologist or something?
Now I don't remember the exact field, honestly.
Oh hell, we'll look it up.
Why not?
I know his dad. His dad did all sorts of stuff. His dad was in oh, what do you call that? Not Nam. Was he in Korea? Let me see.
Yes,
Ophthalmology. Ophthalmology.
eye doctor.
Yeah. The eye doctor. He's not a dermatologist. Skin's not eyes. Ron Paul was a flight surgeon and an OBGYN.
Okay. So Rand was the eye doctor.
Yep. And Dr. Ron Paul was the OBGYN for a long time. Sliding scale OBGYN.
Okay.
Didn't charge people all the same. Didn't deal with insurance, I don't think.
Well,
So
that's
somehow
good.
he didn't starve to death.
Oh my God.
Doctor made money without ripping people off? How did that happen? He's not Canadian. Oh.
Yeah, my video is going to be bouncing around today because I'm squirmy. I was like, I can't get comfortable.
All right. This comes the next. The next article is from Mr. Tyler Durden at our friends from Zero Hedge, who were kicked off of Twitter, by the way.
Are we?
I think they were. Not me. I'm talking about Zero Hedge.
You were getting my hopes up, man. I was like, wait, what?
You know, we made it when we get kicked off of Twitter.
Damn straight. I was like, where's the money, bitches?
I don't make any money. This is public service.
Shit. Tell that to the public servants.
But
granted, your public servants like your police officers, your firefighters, your first responders, yes. But all your elected officials that are supposed to be quote unquote public servants, they make bank.
When the nuclear weapons go flying, it's probably most likely going to hit CNN and Fox News. Somebody's got to step up, and that's me. Like Ron Burgundy with not Champ Kind, but was it Ron Burgundy and Brian Fontana? You can be Brian Fontana.
I'll take it. The name sounds cool.
We'll smoke on air. We'll do everything. FCC won't.
As long as they're cigars. I ain't doing cigarettes.
We'll smoke whatever. We'll smoke opium and just do it blazed. Because smoking opium's cool, kids. I'm just kidding. It's a joke. Don't call the FCC or not FCC. Don't call the DEA on us. Local newsman tells kids under the age of 15 to smoke opium.
Well, they'd probably be misconstrued as.
Karen goes nuts.
Karen,
the woman who wants to talk to your manager.
Oh, that Karen.
Let me see. Ron Paul, don't let the mainstream media and government fearmongers drive you nuts. By Mr. Tyler Durden. Narration done by LeVar Burton. Like, reading the books, reading Rambo.
Right. Who was Geordie?
Anywhere.
He was Geordie. Just say Geordie. Everybody knows who he is. Yep.
In a book, it's reading. It's Matt Free Matt.
The Reading Rainbow.
Okay, the author was Mac Slavo from SHTF Plan. says, ginning up fear and terror was the key to getting hold of the country, tossing millions of Americans out of work and setting fire to the Constitution. A nation ruled by fear is a nation that falls into tyranny, said Dr. Ron Paul in his latest Liberty Report. And yes, I do read, narrator's note, I do read the Liberty Report.
I don't read it, but I listen to it.
Dope.
It's almost like a podcast thing now.
Get on with your bad self.
Dang straight. You can find it on the Apple Podcast app. Liberty Reports. Do a search on that.
I will have to check that on Apple Podcasts. Dr. Paul then discusses how the media is complicit in scaring the public so politicians can expand their violent rule and domination of other human beings. This is in quotations. There's an element of fear, scare the people into it, but that might be the way all incremental socialism and fascism works. The biggest thing people need to realize is that the role of government isn't to make us safe and secure. And the more people give up rights to be safe and secure, the more enslaved they become. We have a nation full of people who literally think like slaves and not like the free human beings they were born as. This is in quotations. Hopefully this will wake people up. This is McAdams. That was Daniel McAdams, by the way, from the Liberty Report, added that this fear-mongering by government and the mainstream media is a form of terrorism. When you look at the definition of the word terrorism, it is to terrorize people for a political goal. In this case, the goal in tyrannical takeover and enslavement of every human being on this planet. They, the mainstream media, on behalf of the ruling class, always resort to fear. Look, I'm going to look at you and say this directly. What I just said, it's true. It's called a mouthpiece. It's a business, but it's a mouthpiece for the ruling elite. It's not for you.
Yeah.
If it was for you, you'd make your own freaking media company, which many people do, and you put your heart, and you wouldn't play punk, and you wouldn't do business with your people. So, and you find people who actually want to do business with you.
It'd be funny if this podcast turned into its own media group, huh?
Well, I'll find somebody. I'll find a nut job. Band media. I'm available. This is McAdams added this fear-mongering by government and the mainstream media as a form of terrorism. I had mentioned that. In this case, the goal in tyrannical takeover, and I had mentioned that because I lost my place. As we continue to say, the coronavirus did not cause an economic recession. The people who obeyed the commands of tyrants did. The coronavirus did not cause food shortages. Farmers who obeyed the commands of tyrants did. The coronavirus did not cause tyranny. The cops who followed orders to exact tyranny on the public did. This all comes down to obeying. The masters barked orders, and the slaves obeyed to their own detriment. If we ever hope to be free, we have to reject the slave mindset they have brainwashed us, all of us, into. And there's a little bit here. It says, if you have any questions about what the government wants, look into HR 5656. This is the Trace Act. Wake up, the government is not your friend. The good news is that the truth is getting out. People over the planet are waking up. The elitists are losing control as the public becomes aware of what governments are doing. McAdams pointed out that the longer this goes on, the more blame Donald Trump will get. As Dr. Paul said, it is important to get people to not be fearful, but to understand what's going on. Understand.
Boom.
Dr. Paul, I'm going to use, these are quotes right here directly. We have a growing number of people that know there's an easier way to all of this, says Dr. Paul. And it's freedom. But most slaves don't know how to handle freedom and can't even envision a life that isn't beholden to someone else claiming to own them.
Yeah, that goes all the way back to, I don't know, Jews, the Bible, things like that. It's one of those points that's been argued for thousands and thousands of years.
Well, the one of the ironies everybody was counting on, like I guess the element of mistreatment, but it wasn't mistreatment. It's literally like the feeding the pigs at the trough and having the water suck it out of a bottle. Is that there are people even in the middle class, and unfortunately people I know of, that are so conditioned to never believe that they could live without the government, and there's always something for you. There's always something they've got involved with, and people could not imagine being responsible for that element of their life. And
Mm-hmm.
at one time in human history, people did everything, and they did it, and they lived full lives. And
Yeah. And they did it without licensing and all this other whatever. It doesn't even have to be a license. It could be other things. That's just the first thing that popped into my head.
and the irony is that I don't think a lot of people understand that it. I know they couldn't imagine it, and I know it gets into your psyche, and they're always like, "We've always had this program. We can't get rid of it." And I said, "There'll be a point if it collapses. People will have to be their own people." I'm not even saying like obviously there'll be people who panic, but in the long
Oh,
run,
yeah.
voluntary actions, and it will like your state can break down. And what do you have in your state? You have a city. Well, people don't, if it can't organize, like I always say, New York is a giant city, it's a state of its own, but people, the boroughs, they will organize along neighborhoods,
Mm-hmm.
just like even like to pick on the Jews in Williamsburg. So Jews in Williamsburg are they're almost like their own subset. They're on their own little organization. But it's true. In the holler, you'd have the holler fighting the idiots on the mountain.
Yeah.
But at the same time, people and communities would come together and say, hey, we got to do something about this. Hey, like they did in Detroit when they couldn't get somebody to fix the roads, they had a bunch of a-holes in the back of a flatbed pickup truck who walked around, rode around, and fixed potholes because the city didn't have any money. You know what they did? They got people to pitch in. They literally had a bunch of guys that looked like they should have been out cutting grass, fixing holes in the ground or the
Mm-hmm.
pavement. But here's the thing: you just got to imagine doing things on your own. You got to start imagining what you can handle and what you can't handle, and then you'll figure out. It's. I know people say, "I don't want a doctor. It doesn't get a license," and I said, "Well, you can get a plumber." I said, "There's so many other people that are good. I mean, we've lived lives. We know what works. We know what doesn't work." And
Mm-hmm.
I could imagine not doing what the USDA said or the FDA. And I'm like, or those assholes with um, the medical association.
Yeah, I could imagine it for a lot of things, but I will grant you this: when the medical one, I'm kind of like hesitant on the medical one, but most any other thing, I'm like, yeah, do we really even need these things?
Well, I will say this much: for every time I've argued in the way that our medical thing is lined up, there are some doctors that like when their patients get informed and ask questions and
Mm-hmm.
find out and say, hey, what about this? What about that? Work with you.
Right.
All right. The thing about medicine is, and this is where I get mad about the medical, the doctors association. I forgot what they're called, but the thing is, I said, they don't own medicine. I've said this. One of the worst things is when we have that stupid idea that they own medicine. The same reason lawyers don't, they should not own the law. I said,
True.
and I don't,
True.
I mean, I can buy a welder and weld, and there's not like a National Welders Association who prevents me from welding. And,
Right.
but here's the thing: people in your community, if you sucked as a doctor, even with a license, you're going to suck. You're not going to be a
But
doctor.
doesn't that go back to the fact of the I don't know, a thing we touched on few weeks ago called the invisible hand?
Yep. If you suck at business, you suck at your job, you're not going to keep it. Or you're going to have to drop your prices. Crappy medicine should cost a lot less than good medicine.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, back to that article before I got way off the thing. The freedom is a burden. And there's a lot of people that are used to being scum until they figure it out. The irony is they figure it out that all of a sudden law-abiding people who wanted to go to work were criminals, and I think they woke up to it. And it's not just the lockdown, it's, police. We're finding out that, your 45-year-old aunt is a criminal all of a sudden. All she did was drive to work. We find
Yeah.
out that, kids wanted to go play basketball. That's not unheard of. But all of a sudden, they're wrong for it.
Yeah, or and far be it for me to be, I'll never be known as the church person, but even, people are getting together for church services and they're getting put in jail now in some places.
And it just became so, I guess, idiotic that everyday people were criminals. And I was like, if they're lucky it hasn't got this ugly. I guess they woke up and said, yeah.
I think so. Oop, silence.
No, yeah, I'm sorry, I was getting back to flipping there we go. It was my
Did you
article.
get distracted?
I hit the wrong button.
You hit the wrong button.
It takes people to, obviously, what he said, wake up and push away from tyranny, push away from idiocy. And hey, and what I said, the lockdown, I said, we could put the people at risk into quarantine themselves. The people that are not at risk or not sick don't need to go. But I will also say this much. I don't think it became a real problem yet. We let it look like a problem. It's not a problem yet. But
Right.
did you have any other words for us?
Not really. I mean, it just goes to show that I think the human race as a whole, I don't care which country you're in, we really are better off if we're just left alone to be, because we kind of have a way of solving our own problems. Government has a way of causing problems. And the thing you got to watch out with the government is it's all quote unquote for your best interest. And that's a farce. Nobody's got your best interest at heart or in mind but you yourself. So just live your life. I mean, granted, I'm not saying you should be like, okay, well, I want this bag of Cheetos and go steal. No, what we always say, don't hurt people and don't take their stuff. So be reasonable, but at the same time, you don't need somebody to hold your hand. You can do it.
But if nobody holds my hand, who will do it?
You. And by you, that could also mean the community you're in, your town, your city. Doesn't necessarily have to be you, as in, like, I'm talking to me, or you yourself, free Matt over there. But at the same time, if the problem becomes big enough people are going to jump in, because for some reason, despite everything that goes on or what you could imagine, people do tend to be charitable and try to do the right thing.
It's like Flynn's ass wiping service.
For the right people, yes, we would.
Oh, Lord. I don't know where we're going to go with that one. But, oh, Lord. I wanted to thank you guys for joining us. Before we even think about parting or with encouraging words, I do want to tell you guys, we'll have links down below, most likely Twitter, at FreeMatt Podcast. The email account to contact with us. Yeah, contact with us. We'll contact with you too. It's FreeMatt, FreeMatt podcast, podcast, @gmail.com. Please feel free to hit the subscribe button. And I think down this way is the notification bell.
Down which way?
Feel free to leave a hateful message below. Also, before we give General Patrick Flynn his parting shots, but we will just want to tell you guys, please take care of yourself. You live a voluntary life. You can choose to be happy and you can choose to do better. But often you have to stand on your own feet and make your own decisions. People can guide your decisions, but in the end, it's you and it's you that drives your life.
Well, damn it, man. I'm supposed to give some parting words, but those are pretty well parting if I do say so myself. You know, I mean, it's like you said, don't let fear control your life. And honestly, kind of take the Tim Ferriss approach. See what everybody else does. Do the opposite. Sometimes you'll be surprised how far you get and how good you do by doing the opposite. Now, granted, I'm not saying, there's a law against murder last time I checked. Well, since nobody murders, we're going to do the opposite and murder somebody. No, that is not what I'm saying. Use your brains, folks. You have them.
Be good.
Exactly. Be good. Be your own person. Like your own conscious thinking person. You don't need to be led around. You can do it. All night long.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What General Patrick Flynn said. Oh, I didn't even say anything about Chrissy Teigen just being a complete waste of Hollyweird space along with everybody else.
Just send them to Tegan Presley. It'll be okay. They'll be much better for it.
I guess so. She's probably worried about, depending on their location, about, medical problems and, things like, coronavirus and people in their circle being healthy and things like that.
Probably,
I don't speak for her, but it's a general
I,
consensus.
I'll say again that unless there's an EMP that pulls away the entire internet, that industry is going to still be around.
Well, it's the technology plus the psychological element to logistics of bringing it and the data, like the data alone. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it would take another giant technological shift to break that pattern that the handful of top of those tier companies have put together.
It really would, but that's a whole nother topic.
Oh yeah, and it's I don't hate the people that deliver it. I feel bad for customers, but I think that people ought to own their screw ups. I mean, things have come to light, and it's kind of like I hadn't been drinking, and one day I finally felt better. It took me.
Did you?
Yeah, I felt better.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Fuck yeah.
It's not all the time, but I felt better. And
well, still, as long as you finally starting to feel better.
Yeah, and I told you a lot of the other things in my life I was trying to do, including what you were talking about.
Yeah.
It's an element of control. It's more than that. I told you when people become customers. No, I mean when the customers become the product it's bad. It's like I told you, I don't like the thing like about what I worry about like Star Wars. The fans are become the product when no matter how bad the production value starts dropping or the writing stinks or
look at the WWE.
Well, and they're finding that the view at the top wasn't as good as you thought it was.
Right.
Anyway, please, folks, take care of yourself, and we're gonna cut it off for tonight. But
we're gonna kill it. We're gonna kill it.
All right, folks. Have a good night.
See ya. Holla.